We're going to be unpacking a blog post today.
Okay.
5 lessons I've learned as a social media manager, written by somebody who's actually out there doing the work, you know?
Oh, that's great.
So it's packed with real-world insights.
Yeah, always good to learn from people in the trenches, especially in a field like social media.
Right.
Everything changes so rapidly.
And the author starts off
Yeah.
with this really thought-provoking question
Okay.
from their college marketing professor.
Right.
Would you let someone you don't know go through your garbage?
Whoa, that's an attention grabber.
Right.
I can see why the author was hooked by that.
It makes you think about data privacy in a very visceral way.
Definitely. It's not just about targeted ads.
Yeah.
It's about like all the information we just kind of throw out there
Yeah.
online
Without even realizing it.
without even thinking about it half the time.
And that actually leads perfectly
Yeah.
into the author's first big lesson.
Okay.
Social media is not
Yeah.
a static career path.
Right. Give me an example.
They came back from a 1-week vacation and a whole new platform had popped up called Threads. So adaptability and continuous learning.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just buzzwords here. They're essential
Absolutely.
for survival.
You got to keep up.
And that's where their second lesson comes in.
Okay.
Always be upskilling. And the author really emphasizes learning from the platforms themselves,
Oh, interesting.
using resources like LinkedIn Learning
Yeah.
and Meta Blueprint.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of that.
I have to admit, I'm not super familiar with Meta Blueprint.
Oh, what is that exactly?
It's Meta's own training and certification program
Oh.
for everything to do with their platforms.
So Facebook and Instagram and all that.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, the whole shebang.
Okay.
It's their way of providing structured learning
Oh, interesting.
directly from the source, you
That
know?
makes sense.
So it's like
Good
you're
guy.
getting a seal of approval from Meta.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Exactly.
That's a great tip for anybody
Yeah.
who wants to get ahead in this field.
Right.
Just go straight to the source.
Mhm.
Shows you're serious about staying up to date.
Exactly.
Now, their third lesson
Yeah.
is all about the realities of freelancing,
Mhm.
which they describe as not for the weak. It's easy to romanticize freelancing,
Yeah.
being your own boss,
Mm-hmm.
working from anywhere.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
the author really highlights
Mm-hmm.
the flip side,
Yeah.
like managing time,
Mm-hmm.
juggling clients,
Yeah. You get to wear a lot of hats.
and essentially wearing multiple hats all the time.
They even talk about the financial side,
Oh, right.
like handling invoices,
Yeah.
budgeting.
Staying on top of all that.
Yeah. So it sounds like being a successful freelance social media manager
Uh-huh.
requires more than just marketing skills.
Yeah. You need business skills too.
You need business acumen. And it takes a certain personality type,
For sure.
someone who's comfortable with uncertainty,
Mhm.
self-motivated,
Yeah.
and really good at managing their own workload. But on the plus side,
Yeah.
the author seems to really love the freedom and flexibility that freelancing offers. They specifically mention being able to work from anywhere,
That's nice.
which allows them to travel
Yeah.
and personalize their work-life balance.
Mhm.
I imagine that's a huge perk for you as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The ability to work remotely has been a game changer
Yeah.
for so many people.
In the digital marketing world,
Yeah, it's not just about travel. It's
it's about having control
Yeah.
over your schedule and your environment.
Your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us to the author's final point,
Okay.
which is all about
All right.
having a well-defined social media strategy.
Oh, that's key.
They emphasize that this is like the
Yeah.
guiding light
Yeah.
that keeps you on track amidst all the constant changes.
I think that suggests that a strategy isn't just a static document you make at the beginning and forget about.
Right.
It's something that you refer back to all the time.
Constantly coming back to.
Yeah.
Especially when you're faced with new decisions or new platforms.
Yeah, exactly. New platforms, new trends, all that.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
A strong strategy starts with really understanding your target audience.
Oh, okay.
You got to get to know your audience,
So their needs,
their interests.
their interests,
Mhm.
what are they into?
What are their pain points?
Exactly. Yeah. And then it's about setting clear goals.
Okay.
You got to know what you want to achieve.
So what are you trying to do?
Yeah. Are you trying to get more followers?
Yeah.
Are you trying to sell more products?
Are you trying to build brand awareness?
Exactly. All of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to choose the right platforms. Not every platform is the same.
Right.
You got to figure out where your audience is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to make sure you have a consistent brand voice.
Oh, that's important.
You don't want to be all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, you got to measure your results. You got to see what's working.
So you're not just throwing stuff out there
Yeah, you got to track your progress.
and hoping it sticks. So it's almost like a roadmap that helps you
Yeah.
make informed decisions
Yes.
and stay aligned with your overall objectives.
Absolutely.
It prevents you from getting lost in that
the weeds.
day-to-day whirlwind of social media.
Right. It can be so easy to get lost.
Right, because there's just so much going on.
You got to stay focused. If you're running your own business,
Yeah.
having a solid strategy is even more important.
Oh, I bet.
Because you're not just managing social media for clients.
Right.
You're managing your own business.
Yeah, it's your own business on a line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about running your own business strategically.
That's a really good point.
And that brings us to something I thought was kind of interesting at the end of the blog post. Why choose AC Marketing Caribbean?
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It's basically like a pitch for the author's own services.
So they're not just sharing their knowledge.
Right.
They're actually using this platform to attract clients.
To get clients.
Smart move.
Super smart. They're using the same principles to build their own brand. This whole idea of building a personal brand online is really fascinating to me. Do you think it's essential
It's becoming more and more important,
for success in social media marketing?
especially in a field where like trust and credibility are so important.
Yeah, people really need to feel like they can trust you.
Yeah, they want to know that you know what you're talking about.
So when you have a strong personal brand,
Uh-huh.
people are more likely to see you as an authority, follow your advice, and ultimately become clients or customers.
Right.
It's about building your own brand.
Building your own brand.
As a social media professional.
As a social media expert.
That's really interesting.
And that takes a lot of work. It takes consistency. You got to be authentic.
Yeah, you can't fake it.
And you got to have like a clear understanding of what makes you unique. What is it that sets you apart?
Yeah, what's your unique value proposition?
What would you say are like the most important qualities for someone to cultivate?
Well, based on what we've talked about so far,
Yeah.
I'd say adaptability is like number one.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like you can't be afraid of change,
You got to be comfortable with change. You
Yeah.
got to be eager to learn new things.
which ties into their emphasis on continuous learning. Seems like staying ahead of the curve is a must in this field.
Okay, you can't fall behind. I would also recommend subscribing to some industry newsletters
Oh, yeah.
and following some influential bloggers and podcasters. There's just like a wealth of information out there.
So much.
But it's about like curating your sources.
Right, not just taking in everything.
Yeah, and finding the ones that like really resonate with you.
The ones that speak to you.
Exactly.
I imagine attending conferences or workshops
Oh yeah, for sure.
could be valuable as well.
Those are great.
Not just for the content, but also for the networking opportunities.
Networking is huge.
Meeting other people in the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Bouncing ideas off of each other.
And you never know who you're going to meet.
Right, you could meet your next client
Exactly.
or collaborator.
Or your next best friend.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about building that community
Yeah.
and learning from each other's experiences.
Sharing those experiences.
Yeah.
You know, something else that really struck me about the author's story
Okay.
was their resilience. They talked about all the challenges of freelancing,
Yeah, it's not easy.
but they also seem to like really enjoy the work.
Yeah,
And they thrive on that independence.
that's a good point.
It seems like you need to have a certain level of resilience
Yeah, I can see that.
to work in social media.
Especially when you consider
Yeah.
all the negativity
The trolls.
and criticism that you might encounter online.
You gotta have a thick skin.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to handle feedback.
Without taking it personally,
Exactly.
that can be hard.
And sometimes you just gotta ignore the haters
You got to let it roll off your back.
and focus on the positive interactions.
The people who are actually engaging with you.
Yeah, the people who are there to learn and grow.
So it's not just about being tech savvy and creative.
No,
It's also about having the right mindset
that's key.
and emotional intelligence to navigate the complexities of the online world.
It's not just about posting pretty pictures or writing clever captions.
More to it than that.
It's about building relationships,
Yeah.
understanding human psychology,
Yeah.
and using your skills
Yeah.
to make a positive impact. You got to be creative. You got to have analytical skills.
Right.
And like we said, you got to have that emotional intelligence.
You got to have the whole package.
You got to have it all.
It's not just about mastering like the technical stuff.
No.
It's about understanding people,
Yeah,
how to connect with them authentically.
that's the key.
But with social media changing so rapidly, how do you avoid getting overwhelmed
Oh, yeah.
by information overload?
That's a good question.
There are new platforms, new trends, new algorithms.
All the time.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It's like drinking from a fire hose.
How do you even begin to filter through all that?
You got to be strategic
Okay.
and intentional.
So how do you do that in practice?
Well, first, you got to get clear on your goals.
Okay, so what are you actually trying to achieve?
Yeah, what are you trying to do with your social media efforts?
Are you trying to build brand awareness?
Are you trying to drive sales?
Are you trying to establish yourself as like a thought leader?
Once you know your objectives,
Okay.
then you can start to curate your information sources accordingly.
So instead of just passively scrolling through your feed,
Yeah.
you're actively seeking out information that's relevant to your specific goals.
Exactly. You're being intentional.
Think about who you follow,
Yeah.
what newsletters you subscribe to.
What podcasts you listen to.
Are those sources actually aligned with what you're trying to achieve?
Right. If not,
It might be time to declutter.
yeah, you might need to unfollow some people.
Make room for more targeted learning.
Get rid of the noise.
And I imagine it's also important
Yeah.
to be mindful of the time you spend consuming information.
Absolutely. It's easy to get sucked in.
Yeah. It's so easy to fall down that rabbit hole.
You got to set boundaries.
Like maybe designate specific times for checking social media.
Yeah, maybe only check it a couple times a day.
Or limit yourself to certain platforms.
Exactly. You don't have to be on every platform.
It's about finding that balance where
Yeah.
you can stay informed without feeling overwhelmed
Right.
or
Right.
sacrificing your other priorities.
Exactly.
It's almost like creating a personalized social media diet.
I love that analogy.
You're choosing to consume the content
Yeah.
that nourishes your mind,
The good stuff.
helps you grow professionally,
Right.
rather than just mindlessly snacking on whatever pops up in your feed.
You're being a picky eater.
I like that.
You're choosing the best stuff.
And remember, social media
Yeah.
is just one source of information.
Right.
Don't neglect those other valuable resources.
Like books, industry publications, or even just
Yeah.
good old-fashioned conversations.
talking to people.
Talking to people, getting their insights.
Yeah.
So diversify your information diet.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to step away from the screen.
Unplug every once in a while.
I encourage you to think about your own relationship
Yeah.
with social media
How can you use it more intentionally?
to achieve your goals.
That's the question.
That's what you got to ask yourself.